Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about the Cherokee population from western North Carolina at the Qualla Indian Reservation. So I have gone ahead and I've reverse entered the Cherokee's most frequent alleles into our genetic calculator, and we're going to hit Find Ancestry, and we'll discuss it a little bit for you today. So obviously number one is Cherokee from North Carolina, as we would expect. Then number two is Nootka. Now this population is really interesting because I believe this results from the Nootka having a similar genetic combination, a total genome combination to the Cherokee. So I don't think it's as much as a direct genetic linkage or relationship to the Cherokee as it is just a similarity of results. So the Nootka population, they are located in the Pacific Northwest, I believe in British Columbia. And I believe that they're roughly between 55 to 60% Native American. Now, when we look at the results of someone's genome or their genetic results in our calculator, one of the things that we look for are populations that might be more genetically similar to their combination of ancestry, as opposed to a direct genetic affiliation. So I believe I termed it, and others may have call it differently, but genetic proximity by relation and genetic proximity by similar combination. And so if we use those terms and kind of dissect those terms here, the Nootka would probably fit the Cherokee by like combination or similar combination. Whereas the Ojibwe, if we go down the list here from Northern Ontario, Canada, I believe they probably match the Cherokee from direct connection or direct affiliation. They're probably directly related to them. And if you go back in the oral tradition and archaeologically, you'll find that the Iroquoian language anthropologically is related to the Cherokee. So the Cherokee came from the Great Lakes region, probably 800 to 1,000 years ago, and moved down the Appalachian mountain chain and settled in southern Appalachia. And when they did this, they began to interact, obviously, with the pre-existing tribes, the Muskogean-speaking peoples that were already here. And so if we go down the list, you'll see down here a Mayan population from Guatemala. And that would lend further credence to support the idea that there's Mexican or Central American Guatemalan ancestry in the Cherokee genome as well. And we know that these were mound builders, and there are certain places in the southeastern United States, in northern Georgia, and I believe also in western North Carolina, where there may be a few mounds. And this would support the idea of a Central Mexican Native American influx into the Cherokee genome. But if we go further up, we had been talking previously about the Ojibwe influence being one of the main ones to the Cherokee population. And then we see Cree down here. This is also Canadian. And also Great Plains population from northern USA and Canada. Right here, a combination of the two from northern USA and from Canada. So the top results are obviously Canadian and northeastern USA Native Americans, and then the Mexican influence and the Central American influence starts appearing further down as you go down the list. But one thing I would like to do, I'll scroll down a little bit further so you can see more of the list. You go down far enough and you can see Creek from Georgia here. And actually, if you look at the strength of matches here on the right, see these numbers right here? This, for instance, would be 3.3 times 10 to the 11th. So they're done by powers of 10. So the Ojibwe population is 3.93 times 10 to the 12th. And if you go on down, you get into powers of 13 times 10 to the 13th. And you can see more Mexican influence here, Yucatan, Creek from Georgia, and various others mixed in here. So I believe there's even some influence of possibly some African some African American influence here. Yeah, the Mandinka population of Senegal is in here. And so that would tend to indicate, some influence of admixture with African Americans, which is fascinating because that's oftentimes in oral tradition. Many African Americans are aware of this, and they know that there's Native American in there, in Cherokee, a lot of them, in their genome, in their family history. And this would lend further support to that idea. This Mandinka from Senegal, this population is from Senegal. And so that's really fascinating. But one last thing I would like to do with you today is I would like to cut this Cherokee profile in half and show you, it might show us a little more detail, more things we can discuss here. So the upper half, the top half, we have Nuhua Octokpan, which if you watch the video on the Choctaw, this population is from around Mexico City and would further support a Mexican connection to the Cherokee. And then everything else pretty much looks the same. We have Ojibwe from Canada, Cree, Eastern USA, and Mandinka again, right here. And then Great Plains and further on down. So that's the top half of the profile. And now if we run the bottom half, let's see what we can find here. Oh, fascinating. So this is a southwestern U.S. Native American connection. We have Tofilar, which is a northeast Siberian connection. So this would probably indicate a relationship to the genetic seedbed of the Native Americans from long ago, northeastern Siberia. We know that before the people crossed the land bridge into Alaska and then on down into the United States, that they were from northeastern Siberia, Mongolia, northeast China, some of them probably from Tibet, etc. And so they crossed the land bridge, but the Tofilar people seem to be the most strongly connected to the Cherokee from our population list of 1,081 populations. Eskimo from Alaska is also mentioned here. Again, as I previously mentioned, that would be the connection to the forefathers of the Native Americans. And then more Cherokee mixed with European populations. So that's with France, Russia, and Eastern Europe. Just indicating broadly that the Cherokee are mixed with European, probably somewhere between 65 to 70% Native American, depending on the individual and families and such. So it could be a little higher than that, but that's my general guess due to admixture with both European and African populations from long ago. And so if we continue down the list of the bottom half of the profile, Otomi Indian from Mexico appears. The Guatemala is back. A Mayan population from Campeche, Mexico, which makes perfect sense. And then more Latin American populations, Central and South America, pop up there. And this is just further indicating, I think, the connection to Mexico. Because remember, some of the Mexican populations continued further south down into Central and Southern America. And then some came up into the southeastern United States to mix with the Cherokee and other populations. So I hope y'all have really enjoyed this. I will run the full profile for you one more time to let you see the results. And this has been a lot of fun. Sure have learned a lot from this calculator. Pinnacle has taught us a lot about populations that have not been heavily researched yet. For instance, the Cherokee, genetically. So this has really given us a real advantage to be able to share with you the results. And if you would like to undergo a test with us, you can reach us at native-dna.com. And right now our test is running $175. But the advantage with our test over other tests is that I will ensure you that I will go through allele by allele. And so I'll take segments of your DNA. For instance, I would go through and just look at 4 at a time. 4 alleles at a time and give you results from that and just kind of analyze that deeply and think about it, see what makes sense, see what doesn't, and then return your results to you. And then also run your results at full capacity and at half capacity and take chunks of it and cross-analyze and get pieces, parts together and assemble a DNA profile for you and get your results back to you that way. So again, we're very, very accurate. We have a high track record with accuracy, and not just Native American ancestry. We have tons of populations that we use. I'll just give you a really brief tour here. We have so many populations. I'll show you. 1,081 right now, to be exact. And so, yeah, we look forward to serving you in the future. If you have any needs, you can email me at nativednatesting at gmail.com. And I'm Chris, and thank you so much for watching today. Y'all take care.